Good morning, dignitaries and the days, respected police officers, faculty, staff, and my dear students. On behalf of Hidayatullah National Law University, it is my distinct honor to welcome you all to this special occasion of one-day conclave on police officers under the Constitution at the rate 75 HNLU series. We are here to commemorate 75 years of Indian Constitution, and today's event will revolve around the theme of navigating good governance, Constitution, policy, and inclusivity. I request you all to kindly rise for the national anthem.
जता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you. We will now proceed to the felicitation of our distinguished guest. I request Honorable VC Sir to kindly felicitate Honorable Mr. Justice P. Sam Koshiji. Sir, I also request you to kindly felicitate Mr. Ashok Juneja ji. Thank you. Now, to formally begin with the event, I would like to invite Dr. Deepak Srivastav, sir, Director of the School of Law and Governance and Dean of UG Program at HNLU, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Professor Garima. A very good morning to one and all present here. Honorable dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, respected police officers, dear colleagues, media persons, and dear students. It is my unique privilege to extend a very cordial welcome to all of you to the inaugural ceremony of the Conclave on Navigating Good Governance, Constitution, Policy, and Inclusivity under the Constitution at the rate 75 HNLU series. This program is being organized by the Center for Innovation and IP Policy of the School of Law and Technology and the Center for Constitutional Law and Federalism of the School of Law and Governance. I express my deep admiration to Honorable Mr. Justice P. Sam Koshiji, Judge High Court of Telangana and Member General Counsel of Hidayatullah National Law University for honoring us as a chief guest of this inaugural ceremony. I welcome you, sir, for being with us. We are grateful to Mr. Ashok Juneja ji, Director General of Police, State of Chhattisgarh, for sparing his valuable time and being guest of honor of this inaugural ceremony. We welcome you, sir. We swell with joy and pride to have Professor Dr. V.C. Vivekanandan, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Hidayatullah National Law University, our Vice Chancellor, who is an inspiring mentor, having a rare combination of vision, insight, intellect, and energy. We welcome you, sir. I extend my heartfelt welcome to resource person of both the sessions, Mr. P.V.S. Girdhar, Senior Counsel, Madras High Court, and Mr. Amit Pai, Advocate on Record, Supreme Court of India. My sincere welcome to all the police officers of Chhattisgarh who have taken out their time and attend this event from their busy and hectic schedule. I express my cordial welcome to Dr. Vipan Kumar, Registrar and Director, School of Law and Business. I also take opportunity to welcome Ms. Garima Panwar and Mr. Abhinav Shukla, conveners of the event. I welcome faculty and staff members who have been directly or indirectly playing their part for the conduct of this program. Your presence and motivation truly count. And last, from the least, it gives me immense joy to welcome you all the students of LLM who have come to attend this program. And before closing the welcome speech, I would like to mention a para from Arthasastra of Kautilya, which explain what is expected from good governance, that Praja Shukham, Sukham Rajyam, Prajanam cha hite hitam, Nyay priyam hitam rajyam, Prajana tu priya hitam, which means people's happiness should be the king's happiness. Welfare of people is king's welfare. For a king, there is no task which is only individualistic and pleasurable to him only. It is king's utmost duty to look after progress and welfare of this country, his country. And this can be understood in the present times in these words, that good governance, which means reverence for citizenry rights, respect for fundamental rights and statutory rights in any governmental action, respect for unwritten constitutional values, veneration of institutional integrity, and inculcation of accountability to be collective at large. It also conveys that the decisions are taken by the decision-making authority with solemn sincerity, and policies are framed keeping in view the welfare of the people and including all in a homogeneous compartment. I once again welcome one and all present here to the conclave on navigating good governance, constitution, policy, and inclusivity. I sincerely wish this program will be a great success. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. To set the tone for today's event, I would like to invite Professor Dr. V.C. Vivekanandan, Honorable Vice Chancellor, to kindly deliver his opening remarks.
The chief guest of today's event, Honorable Mr. Justice Sam Koshi, Judge, High Court of Telangana, and Member of General Council of HNLU. The guest of honor, Sri Ashok Jineja, Director General of Police of Chhattisgarh. Respected resource persons, Sri P.V.S. Giridhar, Senior Counsel at Madras High Court and Distinguished Juris Professor of HNLU. Sri Amit Pai, Advocate and Record at Supreme Court. Decorated officers of the police force, faculty colleagues, students, and other distinguished invitees. Greetings and welcome to all of you. The theme, what we chose for our Constitution 75 series for today, is about public policy and inclusivity in the backdrop of Constitution. This series started on August 15th, and we'll be having one program every month, culminating in January, the whole series. So this one we chose as public policy and inclusivity. Any rudimentary understanding of Constitution by even a law school student will tell Indian Constitution could be ranked in the front line with all constitutions to the world. It is an amazing thing. The Constituent Assembly debated incisively under the leadership of Dr. Ambedkar and brought the Constitution, which is not only inspired us, it has inspired many, including many new nation states which came after. So it could be one of the challenging tasks of a country of our diversity to be managed by a constitution. So I would firmly tell there is nothing wrong in the constitution per se. Then what are we talking about public policy and inclusivity is, a constitution is one thing, the way it's practiced is another thing. For that matter, United Kingdom doesn't have a written constitution at all, but certainly it is practiced in a different way. So all the more that requires sensitization to down under the constitution about the stakeholders who are managing and the Indian police force is one of the important pillars about managing the constitution, and in such case, this sensitization which we designed is about how public policy and inclusivity at times upholds constitution, at times may not be in tune with constitution. It's a right time in the constitution 75th year, we need to really look at it, and that is the reason we had the theme. And if I just flag in 2 to 3 minutes, what are the areas which the public policy and inclusivity, as I call, bit of an obstacle, or we are not proactive? Number one, everybody knows caste-based discrimination. This is something very peculiar to our space compared to constitutions which can be managed easily in Europe or United States or in Japan, where you do not have a very, very peculiar system which has developed over centuries. At times it subsided, and at times it gets strengthened again and again in electoral politics. So it's a very big task. In that context, we need to really, really salute the Indian police system, which has nowhere it shows this type of divisions, what is happening in society. So I would call it that this is a very positive point, but at the same time, they are tackling many of these problems on the ground level. So that is the first one. The second one is gender inequality, which is more pronounced now. In spite of more women coming to education, employment, we are time and again seeing gender inequality. And this gender inequality, when I tell, not only in terms of opportunities, but day to day how we treat the other gender, it has again a kind of a problem which Constitution very, very clearly tells in Article 14, all are equal, and I am pretty sure that all of us will realize we need a proactive approach on that. The third one, post-liberalization, I call it, last 20-25 years, is an alarming economic inequality which is happening. We are at times celebrating who is the world's richest person, who are the billionaires, they are all from India. But at the same time, we also know in many, many rankings where India is. So this is a very serious matter, of course, for top level policy makers, but as police officers, as I said, not only police officers, we do find police officers at times moving to electoral politics and at times managing public policy. It's a very important part that economic inequality, how to sensitively manage this, is also a kind of introspection from stakeholders like you. The fourth one is religious discrimination. And this is again getting more pronounced in recent times. And it is not something invented now. It has been always part of history when there are multi-religious countries. These issues will be part of that. But let me tell the example of many countries which are multi-religious. For example, today's United Kingdom has almost all religions like India in significant number. Same with United States. And they are much more sensitively managing. Very interesting, they said, Rishi Sunak was a Hindu, the mayor of London was a Muslim, and both are immigrants in another country which almost dominated and colonized us. So when others who are a problem creators are changing themselves, we need to really look at a space which was accommodative of all religions. Name any religion, it is there in India, in one part of. It is not just religion, we accommodated people who are persecuted in different places. So this needs sensitization, introspection. And finally, the fifth one is you are in the educational institution. Lack of access to quality education. Article 21A talks of the Constitution very clearly about education as a fundamental, as a kind of an important right. But you really look at it, yes, we have improved in a lot in terms of thing, but you really know that it is slowly becoming difficult. Not just higher education I'm talking, people are saving much before their marriage in order to put their kids in the kindergarten. So this requires a lot of public policy inspection. When I say that you may not be directly in policy making on these matters, but as important stakeholders, you are also influencers in a way, and this is the 5 things. Or in short, when I want to close, as I said, Constitution is good. How do we work the Constitution? I only remember this small story where a person was sitting and watching He had not much work. He was sitting and watching in the road, and he saw two people were working. One person is digging a pit, and then another person comes and closes the pit. This person goes, digs the pit again, the other person closing. Other person digging, other person closing. So he was completely confused, and he called both of them. I don't understand why you dig, why you close. They said, very simple, we are doing our job. What kind of job this is? You open and you close. He said, the third person is absent today. He's supposed to put a plant. So at times, we can work the constitution that way, that we are celebrating ritually, but are we really planting and are we really growing? And that is the message. Thank you for this opening remarks opportunity.
Thank you, sir. We are privileged to have with us Mr. Ashok Juneja ji, Director General of Police, Chhattisgarh, with us as the guest of honor today. If I may introduce you, sir. Sir is a distinguished officer from the 1989 batch of IPS services, and with a career spanning of decades, he has played a pivotal role in combating Naxal insurgency. Sir, over to you.
Thank you for the opening introduction of me. The chief guest of today's conclave, Honorable Mr. Justice M. Kaushiji, Judge, High Court, Telangana, and Member General Council, HNLU. Professor P.C. Vivekanandan ji, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Hidayatullah National Law University, Dr. Vipin Kumar ji, Registrar HN, Dr. Deepak Srivastav ji, Director of School of Law and Governance, Dean Undergraduate Program, Mr. Amit Pai, IG, Pal, SIB, SSP Raipur, my colleagues from the police and colleagues from Law University. Ladies and gentlemen, before I begin addressing today's theme, I would like to take a moment to reflect on the significant milestone we achieved earlier this year. In March 2024, Chhattisgarh Police entered into an important memorandum of understanding with Hidayatullah National Law University, Raipur, in the august presence of Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister Home, the ACS Home, and the highly respected Professor Dr. Ranbir Singh, Chairman Drafting Committee on the New Criminal Laws. Through this MOU, HNLU has provided extensive and thorough training on the new criminal laws to the police officers of Chhattisgarh. Thanks to the training, our staff officers have been well prepared for the transition and have faced no major challenge in implementing these new laws. The collaboration has greatly enhanced our capacity to work efficiently within the framework of new legal provisions. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable Vice Chancellor of HNLU, Professor Dr. V.C. Vivekanandan ji, for his leadership in making this partnership a success. Thank you, sir. I feel honored to stand before you today as we inaugurate the important conclave on navigating good governance, constitution, policy, and inclusivity. If you pardon me, sir, my speech will be bilingual. Later, I will be speaking in Hindi to address some very important core issues on the law and order for my police officers, colleagues, sir. It is a privilege to share this platform with such distinguished individuals, including our chief guest, Honorable Mr. Justice M. Sam Kaushiji. Vast judicial experience brings great insight into today's discussion. I would also like to express my appreciation to the Hidayatullah National Law University for organizing this conclave, a platform that allows us to reflect upon and critically assess the role of police officers in promoting good governance, constitutionality, and inclusivity. As we gather here today, I am conscious of the fact that every one of us present, whether in uniform or in academic robes, share a common goal: the safeguarding of justice and the rule of law. For us in the police force, this is not merely a professional duty, it is a constitutional obligation. The Constitution, a pillar of good governance. The Constitution of India is more like a legal document. It is the soul of our democracy. It is our guiding light, outlining the principles of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. For the police, the Constitution offers a roadmap providing the framework within which we function to maintain law and order and safeguard the rights and freedoms of every citizen. One of the key elements of good governance is the delicate balance between maintaining law and order and upholding the rights of the citizen. As police officers, we are tasked with the challenging responsibility of ensuring that the rule of law is maintained without infringing upon individual freedom. The Constitution empowers us to execute our duties while simultaneously placing clear boundaries on the extent of our authority. It is within this balance that the idea of good governance takes root. For instance, when we look at the Articles 19 and 21 of the Constitution, which guarantee the fundamental rights of freedom of expression and the right to personal life and liberty, we as officers are reminded of the importance of exercising our powers with restraint and fairness. Our work is not just about enforcing laws, but about ensuring that law enforcement does not lead to violation of rights. Coming to inclusivity, the essence of constitutional governance. Inclusivity is the very essence of good governance. And as public servants, it is imperative that we ensure that no section of the society is left behind. Our Constitution is the document that speaks to every Indian, regardless of caste, religion, gender, or socio-economic background. In this context, inclusivity in governance requires that we as police officers remain conscious of the diverse needs of population served. कानून व्यवस्था से लॉ एनफोर्समेंट से आप क्या समझते हैं? लॉ एनफोर्समेंट में कानून व्यवस्था, अपराधों पर नियंत्रण और अल्टीमेटली गेम है पब्लिक का ट्रस्ट और पब्लिक की सेफ्टी। कानून व्यवस्था में इंक्लूसिविटी का होना बहुत ज़रूरी है। आपको ये बात की जानकारी रहनी चाहिए, स्पेशली पुलिस अधिकारियों को, कि जब आप अलग अलग कम्युनिटीज से, अलग अलग सेक्शन से डील करते हैं लॉ एंड ऑर्डर के अंदर, तो आपको ये ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि जो मार्जिनलाइज कम्युनिटीज़ हैं उनका विशेष ध्यान रखना चाहिए और उनको एक बैकग्राउंड में रखना चाहिए दिमाग में कि जब आप उनसे डील कर रहे हैं तो कई बार ऐसा होता है कि बिकॉज ऑफ फाइनेंशियल कंस्ट्रेंट्स, बिकॉज ऑफ नॉट हैविंग लीगल बैकग्राउंड, बिकॉज दे वर आइदर नॉट एबल टू अचीव दैट काइंड ऑफ एजुकेशन जो उनको एक्सपेक्ट करे कि वो अपने कानूनों के हक के बारे में आपको बता पाएँ, तो आपका ये दायित्व बनता है कि आप उनको जो कानूनी अधिकार संविधान के द्वारा दिए गए हैं उसके बारे में उनको बताएं। उनको बताने के लिए इंक्लूसिविटी बढ़ेगी और आपका पब्लिक ट्रस्ट बढ़ेगा और आपका कम्युनिटी एंगेजमेंट के अंदर आपको काफ़ी सुविधा प्राप्त होगी। और नॉट ओनली दैट, देयर विल बी अ प्रॉपर फीडबैक मैकेनिज्म। अल्टीमेटली कानून वही बनता है जो पब्लिक की मंशा हो। पब्लिक की मंशा आप तभी जान पाएंगे जब पुलिस का ट्रस्ट कानून आपके लॉ एनफोर्समेंट एजेंसी के साथ एक अच्छे लेवल पर हो, मैच्योर्ड लेवल पर हो, और उसके बाद ट्रस्ट उसको लेकर ही आप अपने नए कानूनों को के सुझाव दे सकते हैं, फैक्टर इन कर सकते हैं उन चीज़ों को जो एक कोई इशू पब्लिक के माइंड में इमर्ज हो रहा हो और जो कहीं ना कहीं पे मिस हो रहा हो हमारे पूरे सिस्टम को लेकर। तो ये एक इंक्लूसिविटी का जो एक सब्जेक्ट है उसको आप हमेशा ध्यान में रखना चाहिए। कानून ने नॉट ओनली द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, अलग अलग इसके लिए स्पेशलाइज्ड लॉज भी बनाए हैं। वंस यू डील विद द वीकर सेक्शन, यू हैव अ लॉ फॉर अगेंस्ट एट्रोसिटीज़ ऑन वीकर सेक्शंस। देन जेंडर के लिए जैसा विवेकानंद साहब ने बताया, वी हैव गॉट लॉज ऑन डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस ऑल्सो। इवन नाउ कानून उस लेवल तक जा चुका है, जिन्होंने 377 को अबॉलिश भी किया बिकॉज टू टेक केयर ऑफ देयर राइट्स एंड इंक्लूसिवनेस के लिए। तो एक इमर्जिंग एक लाइव डॉक्यूमेंट है इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, तो उसका भी ध्यान में रखना चाहिए कि ये 75 साल से जो हमारी आज़ादी के बाद से हमारे संविधान में 1950s के बाद जो चल रहा है वो एक लाइव डॉक्यूमेंट है। एक लाइव डॉक्यूमेंट जो किसी भी इरा के अंदर कभी भी आपको एक डायरेक्शन और एक रोड मैप देगा संविधान को आपको आगे कार्रवाई करने के लिए और बढ़ाने के लिए। तो मेरा आप सबसे करबद्ध निवेदन है कि मार्जिनलाइज्ड कम्युनिटी से डील करते वक्त, स्पेशली चाइल्ड, स्पेशली वीमेन, स्पेशली द वीकर सेक्शन, आपको इस चीज़ का ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि बैक ऑफ द माइंड कि इन चीज़ों का उनको जो अगर ज्ञान नहीं है तो ज्ञान आपको देना चाहिए, जो भी आपके पास सुविधा उपलब्ध हो। इसी रोल में नाउ कमिंग टू द कम्युनिटी पुलिसिंग, जो हम कम्युनिटी पुलिसिंग करते हैं जो हम अलग 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 सेक्शन से मिलके कानून व्यवस्था को मेंटेन करने के लिए कम्युनिटी पुलिसिंग के प्रोजेक्ट्स चलाते हैं, उसको मैकेनिकली रूप में नहीं करना चाहिए। उसको ऐसे एंगेज करना चाहिए कि आपके पास एक फीडबैक आए कि आपकी पुलिसिंग, आपकी पब्लिक सेफ्टी, पब्लिक सिक्योरिटी के इश्यूज़ के अंदर क्या कमियां पाई जा रही हैं, और उनको इंक्लूड करने के लिए आपको अपनी जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव जो इश्यूज़ हैं उसको कैसे उसको सुधारना चाहिए। Coming to the role of policy in promoting good governance, while the Constitution provides the framework of our actions, policies serve as the tool that allow us to translate constitutional principles into practical governance. As police officers, it is our duty to ensure that we not only adhere to the law, but also implement policies that promise fairness, transparency, and accountability. Coming to left-wing extremism, towards the end, I would like to bring our attention to the most pressing problem of internal security of the nation as a whole and Chhattisgarh in particular, the left-wing extremism. The Maoists or Naxals, as you are aware, have established a strange hold on the tribals of Bastar. उन्होंने हमारी जो सिविल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की रीच जब हमारे पास वहाँ तक नहीं थी लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिज़म एरिया में, तो माओइज़म का फॉल्ट लाइन के जो हमारी जो फॉल्ट लाइन्स हैं उनका फ़ायदा उठाते हुए उन्होंने ट्राइबल्स को इंडोक्ट्रिनेट करने का प्रयास किया। अब हम लगभग हर कोर एरिया तक अपने कैंप एस्टैब्लिश कर चुके हैं। हमारे कैंप एस्टैब्लिश करने में वहाँ की जनता को, वहाँ की कम्युनिटी को एक सुरक्षा का एहसास हुआ है। सुरक्षा के एहसास होने से वो पूरी कम्युनिटीज़ अब हमारे साथ जुड़ रही है। सिर्फ पूरे बस्तर के अंदर कुछ ही पॉकेट्स रह गए हैं जहाँ पे हमारे कैंप्स और हम सिविल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की रीच नहीं हो पाई है। वो भी आने वाले समय के अंदर, जैसा माननीय केंद्रीय गृह मंत्री जी ने, हमारे माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने एक हमको टाइमलाइन दिया हुआ है कि इस टाइमलाइन के अंदर हमको छत्तीसगढ़ से नक्सलवाद का समापन करना। उस टाइमलाइन के आधार पे हम कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं और हम अब कोर एरिया के अंदर हमारे जो कैंप हैं, जो एक डेवलपमेंटल के, जो एक विकास के एक केंद्र बिंदु स्थापित होने जा रहे हैं, वो केंद्र बिंदु स्थापित करके हम जनता को अपने साथ जोड़ेंगे, उनका ट्रस्ट विन ओवर करेंगे, जिससे कि जनता भी जो भी भारत सरकार की, राज्य सरकार की जो भी सुविधाएं हैं उनका लाभ उठाए और मेन स्ट्रीम में अपना योगदान दे। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं पुनः HNLU प्रोफेसर विवेकानंद जी, चीफ गेस्ट ऑफ दिस फंक्शन ऑनरेबल जस्टिस कोशी जी, एंड आई वांट टू थैंक यू ऑल फॉर कॉलिंग मी दिस ओपनिंग रिमार्क्स। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you, sir. It is our distinct honor to have with us Honorable Mr. Justice P. Sam Koshi ji as our chief guest. Sir is a judge of High Court of Telangana. He had served both bar and bench in the High Court of Chhattisgarh that reflects his deep commitment to justice and governance. After serving in Chhattisgarh, he continued his judicial journey by taking oath as a judge of High Court of the state of Telangana in the year 2023. Sir is also a member of General Council of HNLU. Sir, I humbly request you to deliver the keynote address.
Very good morning to each one of you. Guest of honor, Ashok Juneja, the state of Chhattisgarh. Backbone of this institution for past many years, Dr. Vivekanand, the Vice Chancellor of the Institute. Dr. Deepak Shrivastava, distinguished faculties of this institute, the two distinguished speakers of the day, the Senior Advocate Mr. Giridhar, Sir Amit Pal from the Supreme Court, distinguished police officials, law students, both UG and the PG courses. It's indeed a great privilege to be standing before this august gathering, make a small address on a very relevant topic, and the relevance gets enhanced when we have in our midst front line of the society so far as good governance is concerned, that's police department. A real word of appreciation to the Vice Chancellor and his team for having chosen this topic for deliberation, discussion, and for reaching for a more sort of brightened outlook that we should have on the path of good governance. As the guest of honor said, 75 years of the Constitution. And to speak further from the time, from what Dr. Vivekanand said, Constitution of India undoubtedly is the best constitution in all the democratic countries that we have in this planet. But the core issue is, in spite of traveling 75 years, from the population that we had 75 years till almost 140 crores rather. Now, can we authentically claim that there is good governance and there is good governance pan-India? To travel from one state to another, you may find some part of the country, you may find there is good governance, some part of this country there may not be that good governance prevailing. And it is in the midst of that, the HNLU has thought of having this conclave on this most relevant topic, I would say, of good governance. The very purpose of having this conclave is also to sensitize ourselves. When we say ourselves, each one of us in the auditorium is inclusive in it. It is not just exclusively for the people in the uniformed force. No, it's every one of us which we carry some responsibility for the same. Police, of course, is, as I said earlier, the front line of the good governance so far as common mass is concerned. Now, when we talk of good governance, before we think of good governance, just visualize a situation where there is no governance, where there is no rule of law, where there is lawlessness everywhere, and then come back on the topic of good governance. And it will be then that we would visualize the need of good governance, the areas where the good governance is required. When we talk of good governance, my understanding is good governance for a common man, good governance for the person who is from the marginalized sect, good governance from the point of view of the minorities, good governance from the point of view of the weaker section in the society, weaker section in all respects. I don't know, from people of my generation and earlier, when we were young, we had, I'm sure everybody must have had an occasion of reading the short story of Bhartendu Harishchandra, Andher Nagri Chaupat Raja. If you visualize that play in your mind, you can understand what good governance is and bad governance is. Coming back on the topic, when we talk of good governance, particularly when we are celebrating 75 years of our constitution, first thing that comes in our mind is the preamble of the constitution. Preamble of the constitution where we all resolve, it starts that we the people of India, that's inclusivity. Every person, 140 crores, all have to resolve. Resolve for what? Resolve for a society which has justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. And I'm sure everybody must have down the line, particularly the people that we are sitting in this auditorium, at least once in a year we go through the preamble. Maybe on 26th of January or maybe 15th of August, it is flagged on our WhatsApp some way or the other. And we must have read it n number of times. And the resolution is for having justice, social, economic and political. Liberty, that of thought and expression. Equality so far as status and equal opportunity is concerned. What is expected of equality from what the Vice Chancellor said? Equality, we mean a society without any sort of discrimination, be it gender, be it religion, be it caste, creed, majority, minority, marginalized, weaker section. There should be no discrimination whatsoever. Fraternity. Fraternity is assuring of the dignity of an individual, ensuring unity among the citizens, particularly the diverse sect of community, groups, religions, people from all different backgrounds. And if we ensure this, there can be no doubt in anybody's mind that there will be a unanimous acceptance of good governance. In order to test whether there is good governance or not, we have to visualize the ground realities or the situations that prevail where we are able to witness whether the society or the enforcing arms of the government, the different agencies, is able to provide, protect human rights at the first instance. Is it there? Whether common man is enjoying all the basic human rights that he is otherwise entitled for, or that the society expects of. Whether there is a conducive and a habitable environment for a peaceful living within the society. And it is at this situation when we really think of and realize the importance of there being a framework under which different agencies of the government discharge their duties. And theoretically, these frameworks do exist. But what is necessary to be understood and to visualize whether there is good governance is whether these frameworks which are in existence is being truly implemented or not. In the common parlance, the good governance refers to the processes of governing of the various institutions under the government, both central, state, and even at the Panchayat Raj level. It also refers to the process and practices by which matters relating to the common concern is regulated and decided. Question is how effective we are in that. There has to be a normative and an evaluative attribute to the processes in the institutions of the government. While there is no accepted or an agreed definition of good governance, but what is normally considered in the society or by a common person of good governance, and which in the local dialect when we say is also termed to be a stage where it is Ramraj, is 1. Rule of law, 2. Full respect and honor of human rights, 3. There is an effective participation of every sect in the society, there is political empowerment of the people, there is transparent, accountable processes in the institutions of the government, there is efficient and effective public sector involvement, and the most important of all, and a subject which has also been touched by the Vice Chancellor in his opening remarks, is whether there is an easy access to knowledge and education, whether there is sufficient informations about the working of the institutions of the government available to the common person. And when we say easy access to knowledge, it also involves the education and the education policy of the government. And another relevant topic is the cost-effective and quality medical assistance which we are able to provide to the common person, weaker section of the society, which again is a very burning issue pan-India. From the human rights perspective, again, good governance refers primarily to the process where the public institutions conduct, so far as the public affairs are concerned, managing the public resources that is available with the government, where there is a guarantee of the realization of the human rights, and where there is solidarity and tolerance within the society. And to add two more topics in this, because it also touches the human rights, is the two topics as I said earlier, that of the access to education to the common mass, and also cost-effective medical assistance to the weaker section of the society. To summarize what is good governance, it is the political and institutional processes and the outcomes that are necessary to attain the goal of development. The true test of good governance is the degree of each state's performance so far as the programs of human rights, the programs of political and social rights, the programs of civic, cultural and economic development within the society. Now, in this context, to ascertain the level of good governance, the key questions that are commonly asked in the course of deliberation is whether the institutions of the government are effectively guaranteeing these right to health, whether the government has been able to provide equal housing facility, whether there is a proper systematic and effective public distribution system and the sufficient supply of essential food materials within the society, which again is an area which has to be seriously looked into and introspected also by the government agencies. Whether the quality education is being made available for the next generation in the society, and to make the system more effective, the answer to these questions are that of transparency, responsibility, accountability, multi-agency participation, and being responsive towards the general public. There have to be standards set so far as the working of the government and its institutions are concerned. Various agencies that collaborate with the government in ensuring the provision of good governance, and the sole motto behind all this should always be to provide better standard of living of the common mass. There has to be an effective guidelines, frameworks, equally effective policies, and more programs expanding these into the most remotest of all the corners in the country. When we talk of the constitution, the policies and the inclusivity, foremost that we are supposed to be conscious of is the rights and duties. Those are guaranteed under the Constitution of India. 75 years of the Constitution, and we know that being one of the best constitutions in the world, there are three parts which needs to be deliberated upon. That is, first the part 3 of the Constitution, which guarantees the fundamental rights to every citizen. And in this context, we need to look into as to whether are we really being able to provide and guarantee these fundamental rights to the people. I am sure the speakers for the technical session would be taking the session deep into these provisions. Then comes part 4 of the Constitution, where there is this directive principles of the state policies which is enshrined. And again, we need to discuss as to whether the policies framed by the government from time to time, is it with inclusivity of every society in the country? And the third most important is part 5, where there are certain fundamental duties casted upon every citizen of this country. Everything cannot be shouldered by the government and the government agencies. There are certain fundamental duties that is also casted upon every citizen. And if the citizens are responsive and discharge the duties that are otherwise casted on them, I have no hesitation to say that the governing agencies automatically become equally responsive. And it is with this intention that these fundamental duties were incorporated in the Constitution by way of the 42nd Amendment. All three together, part 3, part 4 and part 5, if we look into it, it will clearly give an indication that there is a requirement of participation from all stakeholders, which includes the government and the non-government, the common man, that's the citizen of the country, and the various other agencies which collaborate with the government in ensuring providing of the best of governance. It is aimed in creating an inclusive political system as also a strong and prompt decision-making process. The inclusive governance is based on the democratic theory and focuses primarily on participation and inclusive of all the agencies within and outside the government. Inclusive governance is where institutions within and outside the government, its policies and their processes and the services provided by these agencies are accessible and at the same time is also accountable. The agencies are also responsive to every member in the society without there being any gender discrimination or a discrimination on the personal identity of various sectors. Now coming back to the topic of the conclave, particularly when this auditorium is half filled with people from the uniformed force, particularly I have been told by the guest of honor that we have the new IPS officers allotted to the state of Chhattisgarh also participating. There can be no doubt, as I said earlier also, that police force is the front line of the good governance. Police force is an agency which extends the peaceful cohabitation within the society. Police force is the agency where common man has the biggest of faith so far as their safety is concerned. And much depends upon the police force in ensuring that the law and order situation within the society is as peaceful as it can be. If, and it's a hard reality, if even at one corner of a state of where the police station does not have a proper system of enforcing law and order, I'm sure the common person in that society must be having a very tough time. And gradually they lose faith in the organization and gradually they lose faith on the government as well. You may be put at a very corner of a society, but it reflects the overall picture of uniformed force in the entire state. So, only because you are posted or you have been in charge of a location which is at a very far corner of the state does not mean the responsibility casted upon you is anything less than those officers who are posted at the capital district itself. No. Everywhere, be it the farthest corner of the state of Chhattisgarh or the middle of the state, there has to be a responsibility equally shared by one and all in the uniformed force. If you are able to provide a deep sense of safety in the common man's mind, trust me, the people of the state would be far more happy. Today there is so much of sense of insecurity when we plan of leaving our house locked for a few days. Just a small instance. How many of us feel safe locking the door and going for a month's tour? Day in, day out, it will cling in our mind whether the house is safe or not. And there are so many other small areas where much depends upon the police authorities' control over the district. And if there is a strong uniformed force actively and effectively discharging their duties within the territories of their area of function, people would be far more happier and safe. And it is in this context the relevance of the topic of good governance and the role of police in the society enhances and becomes more relevant. I will not take much of the time. I am deeply indebted to the Vice Chancellor for giving me this opportunity, for being part of this function. And it's always a joy to come back to Chhattisgarh and be part of this institution where I am also a member of the governing council. The moment he offered me to come to this program, without a second of thought, I gave a wholehearted yes that I'll be there. Indeed, I am really grateful to the Vice Chancellor and his team for coming. With this, I formally inaugurate the function and leave the floor to the two distinguished speakers for the day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, to kindly present a memento to Honorable Mr. Justice P. Sam Koshi ji. Sir, I also request you to kindly present a memento to Mr. Ashok Juneja ji. Thank you, sir. To formally express our gratitude, may I now invite Mr. Abhinav Shukla, sir, faculty at HNLU, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Honorable Mr. Justice P. Sam Koshi, Judge, High Court of Telangana and Member General Counsel of HNLU, respected Shri Ashok Juneja ji, Director General of Police, Chhattisgarh, Professor Dr. V.C. Vivekanandan, Honorable Vice Chancellor of HNLU, distinguished guests, esteemed faculty, police officers, students and staff. It is my honor and privilege to extend the vote of thanks on this auspicious occasion of the inauguration of one-day conclave on navigating good governance, constitution, policy, and inclusivity. This conclave is a testament to the collaboration between the legal fraternity and law enforcement, and it could not have been possible without the presence and guidance of our esteemed dignitaries and participants. First and foremost, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Honorable Mr. Justice P. Sam Koshi. Sir, thank you for gracing us with your keynote address despite your demanding schedule. Your willingness to accept our invitation reflects your unwavering commitment to guiding the institution. I extend my sincere thanks to Shri Ashok Juneja ji. Sir, your faith in HNLU and your continuous support to strengthen the collaboration between the police department and HNLU have been pivotal. We are deeply grateful for your trust and encouragement. My heartfelt gratitude to Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Dr. V.C. Vivekanandan sir. Your vision and guidance have always inspired us. You have been a constant motivator. Thank you, sir. I also take this opportunity to thank Mr. P.V.S. Giridhar, Distinguished Juris Professor at HNLU and Senior Counsel at Madras High Court, and Mr. Amit Pai, Advocate on Record, Supreme Court of India, for accepting our invitation to be the resource persons. Your expertise and insights will undoubtedly enrich today's discussions, and we are honored to have you. Special thanks are due to Shri S.R.P. Kalluri, Additional Director General of Police Training, Chhattisgarh. Sir, your support and commitment to this collaboration between the Police Department and HNLU has made this event a reality. We are fortunate to have someone like you championing this cause. I'm thankful to Registrar Dr. Vipin Kumar sir for his continuous support in making this conclave a success. I also thank Dr. Deepak Srivastav sir for his guidance throughout the planning and execution of this conclave. Thank you to Mr. Shubham Tomar sir for being the bridge between HNLU and the police department. I would be remiss if I did not thank the police officers of Chhattisgarh who have taken the time to be here today. Your participation is crucial to the success of this conclave. Last but certainly not the least, I extend my heartfelt thanks to respected colleagues, staff and students of HNLU whose dedication and hard work have made this conclave possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhinav. I request the dignitaries seated on the dais to kindly proceed to the main gate staircases for a photo shoot. I also request faculties to proceed over there. We will, in the meantime, proceed with the technical session 1, and we'll start with that session in 2 minutes.